Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 17th of May, and today is the day that our market decided that we are going to outperform the entire world. We opened with negative cues from Asia and US futures slightly in the negative, but of course, this has to be kept in mind the kind of positivity that we saw on Friday. Um, all that being said, we then gapped up, and what one would have assumed based on Friday's data should be relatively sold into at higher levels did not happen, and slowly that data started to turn quite bullish as well. Regardless, my view for the day was negative and slightly negative, not extremely negative, but partly negative. And that was sort of a contrarian view to what was actually happening. The entire day we were trending upwards, and despite the contrary view, managed to keep it in control for the longest time, except for around 250 when call options at 15,050 and decided to double in in the matter of a minute. So couldn't get away, but overall not a bad day at all. Quite happy with the outcome. Down about 1.5% of the capital used, which is perfectly acceptable on a day where the trend was completely against you. All that being the case, I hope you had a good trading day. I share my view from time to time on Twitter today, even though my view went quite bad, as well as some of the other data like how the 14700 put started to become the maximum put side open interest with massive amount of writing, and that should have been a cue to be a little more careful with the short positions. But regardless, all right day, all right outcome. I will catch you next tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening. Okay, just realized after recording the intro that there is an issue with the recording software, which is why in between a lot of the clips have missed out. If you want to see what I did at different points of time during the day today, you'll have to go to my trade book, which is available on the Telegram channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening.
Want to meet like minded traders and discuss option strategies, adjustments, and more? Just type in Discuss Nifty in your Telegram search box and join the friendly trader community.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The time is 9:23. Just entered the trade for the day. The idea is the recent swing high that we made, 14,900. I'm expecting that to get respected. There are a lot of shots in the system, so my fear is definitely on the upside, where if we start holding these levels, lead short covering and push us on the upside. At the same time, the reason we closed quite negative on Friday was global sentiment. Towards the end of Friday, global markets ended quite strong. SGX Nifty also made a high of 14,820 or so. But this morning, Asian markets as well as US futures are slightly in the negative, which is why we're opening towards 14,750. The idea more or less is that Friday's lows on that range, so on the 14th, that should hold on the downside. The strangle range that I've considered is 14,950 and 14,500. It gives me a little buffer beyond this particular price action levels, as well as puts me very close to the maximum open interest side. My fear at this point, relatively, in which direction would be towards the upside, because there's a lot of call side open interest, and of course we can't look at today's changes, but as of Friday, quite a lot of call side open interest at 14,700 and 14,800. We continue to head higher and start to spook out these guys, we might see some kind of a covering move. So time is 9:24. We'll keep you posted. We entered at quite a good pricing as well, and the quick fall off on the IB definitely benefited our position. Okay, the time is 9:43, and so here is what is evident. Call unwinding is only taking place below 14,700. We're now trading 70 points above that, but overall, calls are not getting unwound above 14,700. There's actually a minor addition. There are a lot of puts being written at 14,700, 14,750, 14,800, 14,850, and these puts are for the protection of calls that were previously written. So on Friday, we had heavy call writing, and this in the money put writing that we are seeing is purely for a protection play. It is not that people are bullish and writing in the money puts. It's more that they've written calls which are at the money or in the money, and to protect them, to delta hedge them, they have written in the money. So here's another thing right now. My fear definitely is, see right now, here are my options. And people who say, when do you move your puts up, when do you move your calls away? Right now, due to the fact that we've gapped up and we're more or less holding the range of the gap up, the puts have lost quite a lot of value. Now, if I move this 14,500 put to 14,550, in case there's some kind of reversal and IV expansion on the put side, it's going to hurt me really badly. This position is bearish. So if you see right now, this has a negative delta Y because the call is much closer than the put. So I'm fine as long as we hold below 14,800, that these calls will not cause too much of a problem. And a down move from here, like a retest of 14,750, will actually benefit the position quite a bit. And what I'm more afraid of is like a sudden and rapid short covering move. So I will wait and see what we do from here. If we start heading towards 14,800, looks like we're holding it, I'll be left with no choice but to square this off and move this to 15,000. The reason I don't want to move puts up is because then on a reversal I will be getting hurt quite badly, whereas I can afford to, because these calls gapped up and they had some value in it already. A continued up move will not expand them as much. The real question will be at what point will we see that burst of short covering, and the idea will be to mitigate that slightly uh, if possible. So around the test of 14,800 is what I'm considering as the point to risk off on this call side, first by half the quantity and then by the complete quantity to move them to 15,000. Okay, I want to wait and see what happens around 14,800. Now, the big up move mainly coming from Bank Nifty, all banks in the deep green. Want to wait and see what happens at 14,800 as well as 32,800 on the Bank Nifty. And I have my orders ready to start cutting the entire position in case we start to see that short covering move, and then potentially take a re-entry at point when something starts to materialize. Time is 10 o'clock, and yeah, banks are quite strong. Puts are not going to be of much more use at this point. So me and my issues with slippage. Okay, I've cut out of the entire position, and we'll wait now to see what happens around 14,800, and after that make any potential changes. I don't want to get caught in way of a short covering explosion. And these 14,500 puts are not going to lose much more value from here. Okay, great. So we've headed to 14,800, and now the 15,000 call is trading at 25. So we exited this at 36 and 23. Now the idea will be to sell the 15,000 call and the 14,500 put. This will give us good breathing room on the put side in case there's a down move, but have reduced the call side exposure. Okay, so I have re-entered now, and we're seeing covering on the 15,000 call also to a certain extent now, and more or less calls are spiking in price. But I think this would be temporary because this would be people covering. I think this still gives us a pretty good risk reward to stay in this trade. Good that we got out of the 14,400. Okay, just cutting out of the position at this point of time. So 1.5% down for the day. Couldn't do much because one, my view was wrong. Two, despite the attempt to manage the day, the last moment kind of spike that we saw in the call options, especially, I mean, the intention was to get away from this spike, but was a little too slow and also had quite a bit of slippage. So, I mean, on a minute candle, uh, exploded from 33 to 45. So this is a 1 minute candle. So very difficult to get away from this kind of a move. And yeah, more or less done for the day. Close negative, but I guess it's just one of those trending days when your view is also against the trend. And yeah, short covering can be very dangerous. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had an all right trading day, and I will catch you tomorrow.
Thank you for watching. Please post any questions you have in the comment section. Also, do not forget to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. To find us on Twitter, Telegram, and Facebook, use the username NiftyBN. Also, we post some of our trades to the community tab, so do not forget to check that from time to time.